Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Real Talk with Coach T, Unscripted, where we will have real but raw conversations for us grown folks. Hi, this is Coach T here today with the real, raw, unscripted conversation today with Miss Helena. We will be talking about dating today. This should be an interesting topic today, ladies, and guys, actually. So, because we do have a nice broad audience. Miss Helena, I'm gonna turn it over to you so you can tell the audience about yourself.
Well, hi, I am Helena Paschal, and I have been hosting on YouTube relationships and conversations for men and women over 30 and trying to get just a level playing ground and understanding how people think about dating, relationships. So it's people that are married, divorced, getting back out there and getting so many different perspectives. So I am on YouTube at Helena Paschal. Love for you to join some conversations. But one of the biggest conversations we talk about is for people of color. How do we view dating? And it is so different. It's over 32 countries that follow me, and everybody looks at dating differently. So for the purpose of our conversation, I like to, because since we're both from Illinois, yes. I can speak on Midwest.
Different kind of cup of tea.
It's a different culture. Midwest has a culture, and I love a good Chicago man, okay?
Give me a Southern man. I don't want none of these Midwesterners.
Oh, my God. I know the Southern man, good, but you know, a Chicago man has that. He has that Southern hospitality to me.
He's been around too many of these Chicago people now.
Oh, okay. Maybe it depends on where his folks are from. Because if he got some good people from the South that brought him up to Chicago, maybe could blend in some. But what I found from Chicago, Midwest, so I'm from East St. Louis, Centerville, Illinois, which is 5 hours south of Chicago. And we are country, and we are a small town. You know, it's going to be either real ghetto, real ratchet. It's a liquor store, a church, or a strip club. So you pick your profession. What you want to do, okay?
Right.
But for dating, there is no dating. It's I like you, you like me, and we together. True. And so when I didn't start dating. So I moved to Atlanta when I was in my early 20s. And so it was because I moved that I actually learned what dating was. It was getting to know different people because, at home you could just meet somebody. Like I said, they like you, you like them, and you go together. You know, it's
that's actually still the way today, though. If you think about it, like there's no real courtship, honestly, in today. Unfortunately, even though we have these beautiful apps that people are using, not judging them, but if you think about it, it's funny that you're saying, hey, that was back then, but however many years later, right? We're 20 plus years in the game. It's funny that people still literally do not communicate about if we're in a relationship or not.
Oh, and that's why I'm here, because I do. I am very clear about it. I have the situation. So we know about the situationship, the friends with benefits. We know that situation where it's understood. I don't want anything more than this. Yeah, I think you need to tell people up front. So my thing is you need to know what you want and you need to know what you need. Sometimes they don't go together. Sometimes this is all I want. Maybe I'm supposed to need something more. I don't know, but this is enough for me right now. But when you know you need something exclusive, you know you need this partner, this ride or die, this person got your back, you got their back, you're going to have to give more of yourself. But yeah, that initial beginning, like, yes, how do we even identify? There is no way in the world for me, I'm going to be with somebody for years and years and years and years, and it's not going to be a relationship, that we're just kicking it, that it's just, unless that's what you have identified as what you want. But the problem is a lot of women don't, and they are waiting for this man to say, he's going to marry them, or we're going to be together. But you give so much of yourself. And I feel like, the less you give, the more you get. Like, if you really want to have this man, he's going to go out of his way to get you if you don't give everything so quickly.
Well, yeah, because men are natural hunters, right?
They really are.
But the funny thing about women, but the funny thing about women, they're actually more competitor.
Yeah.
They're very, like, women don't even know it, but there's always competition. And I mean, even from starting as a young girl, girls sizing each other up, who's the prettiest, who's the tall, just all the craziness of how we are instilled with this at a young age to measure each other up. And it's still carried on to the adulthood, so to speak. And it's like in competition with other women. But I love that you said that, right? So you're saying, hey, I'm going to let you know up front, I'm looking for a relationship. And at the conference I had with Let's Talk Relationships from the Male Perspective. So it was four of us having this conversation. So, of course, I'm the only female, and there were three guys. We were just sidebarring this conversation. So we were talking about what is really dating versus not, right? So for me and one of the guys, for us, we said dating means like you do get to date multiple people. Yeah. Because in truthfulness, if you're only dating one person in the beginning or whatever, then you might as well be in a relationship. And so the other two guys were like, no, that's just too much work to be trying to date more than one person. And I was like, so then how are you getting, like, that's giving the illusion, because unfortunately to me, when you start just dating one person, that person has your attention, and then you start doing relationship things. And that's how, to me, miscommunication comes about, and expectations are silent created, because if I'm only dating you, then more than likely I'm more responsive to you.
Oh, I see that all the time. So I agree with that. I agree that you should date multiple people. I am not going to be exclusive to anybody that's not exclusive to me. But once I say, oh, he has what I want, this man is treating me right, he's got a good work ethic, good head on his shoulder, and then I'm going to tell him, hey, what's up? I'm going to let this person know that I'm ready to be with him. I'm not going to. So once you see all your options, you should make a decision.
True.
And so once you make that decision, it should be a mutual decision. But yeah, I believe you should date multiple people. I do it in a process. So I do it like, I'm going to start dating, and the next 30, 60 days, I'm going to lock in with somebody. But I'm going to date several people at the same time. And dating for me is going out, going to different restaurants, going out to museums, golf clubs, resorts. I like doing fun stuff. So I actually do go out and date. Whereas before, like I said, at home, I would say, the guy would normally say, hey, so do you know how to cook? I'm like, oh, yeah, everybody know how to cook in the Midwest. Yeah, I know how to cook. And, okay, what can you cook? I'll make a good salmon, some asparagus. He said, okay, so when you gonna make that? And our date is my house, okay, or his house. And then that's it. But for me here, and now I live in Houston, so even for me here, it is dating multiple people until I say, no, I want you. I want you. So what's up? And that's exactly what I do. And then he said, yeah, I'm feeling you. And then I let the other people go. And it is such a hard thing to do, because you do feel like you put all your eggs in one basket.
True.
But you really have to use some discernment. And then that's when I get to the point of, is this what I need? Because, some of the things you want is not always what you need. So I'm like, but I'm in my 40s, so I'm not thinking the same as I did when I was younger, because what I need is somebody that has my back, which is more important to me than anything than when I was younger. It's always the 6 foot, 6 pack, 6 figure, six everything, right?
Right.
Now it's different for me. So
I have a challenge to that, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So because my clientele is usually like, late 30s, 60. That's kind of my age range of clientele.
Okay.
And one thing, and then just, friends, family, just being observant, I'm big about people dating their voids. People, like you said, but because you use the word need, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things I find is people date their voids. And what I mean by that is they're dating, like, say, for instance, if a person says like, oh, I keep attracting a charmer, right? Like, okay. And I say, okay, like, go down the list. What's in common that everybody has? They're really charming. They're really nice and blah, blah, blah. So that usually means, not to say men can't be charming, but that usually means there are probably some hoish ways in the mix, because you're probably dating for validation. Because a charmer, and by me being a charmer, I know this for sure, we will make you feel like you're the only one, not as a manipulation tactic, but we're into the person in that moment. Like
That's
literally,
good. That's
we
a good point.
focus our attention, right? If I'm sitting next to you, you have all my attention, but the next person sitting next to me probably still had the same amount of attention you had.
Yes.
I remember this guy for Valentine's when I was a shorty. He gave all his women the same gift. I will never forget that. Because I was like, dude, why did you do it? Right. But you know what he said? So nobody can be jealous and say that somebody got something better.
Oh my God.
But I wasn't mad at that though, because guess what? They already knew what they were dealing with. But in all honesty, he was speaking to what I talk about in today about women being competitive, because he's right. Had he bought one a bracelet, one a necklace, one a trip, whatever, they would have been sizing, oh, he bought me this better. He cares more about me.
Wow.
Yes, but so that's why it's so important, like, when you're dating intentionally, to make sure that you are healed, that you're not dating a void and calling it a need.
Well, yeah, that's where I said at this point in my life, it's definitely somebody that matches me. So it's, I know you do have to take time to get to know yourself. You do need to be healed, because I attract a like person. Like, and you can tell the type, how you feel inside by the person you attract on the outside. Like the people that I attract on the outside, they got it going on. So I'm like, oh, I got it going on again. Whereas before it was like these broken men that are the charmers and that, running through whoever. But once you are healed and you are whole and you get to see the type of person you attract, that lets you know a lot about how you're thinking and how you're moving, because it's like, okay, now I can make a better decision. Because you will make poor decisions if you are not healthy and whole. If you just want somebody to fill this void, but for me now is, that person with, good work ethic, good mindset, this thoughtful. I'm looking, what I do now, and even what I tell other people, just to listen more than you talk. Because if you listen to what they're saying and the questions that they ask you and the things they don't ask you about, you can learn everything need to know, because we talk too much. Women talk too much.
And we try to sell. One thing I definitely feel that is a guilt that people have in general, men and women. One of the things when, like, because everybody knows I could care less about dating right now.
I think we all know.
Yes. Ironically, this morning I was talking to my sister, and we just were talking, and I was like, man, this is the happiest I've ever been, even though, like, I've lost a sister, within the last year, just had some, ups and downs. I said, this is the happiest, in truthfulness, my peace is so like in the spiritual world, you know how they say God will give you that peace beyond your understanding. And
Yeah.
that's like where my peace is right now. And she was like, man, you know, that must be really great feeling. I was like, yeah, I'm not rich. I'm not anywhere where I would probably desire to be, but my space right now, I'm so selfish with it and truthfulness. I don't even want you in it. Like, I'm not inviting you in it. This is not like, you know, of course, men hear challenge when they hear me say, like, I'm selfish. Of course, they let me break that. Or you just haven't met the right one. What the hell? I'm telling you, I don't want the right one, the wrong one, the middle one, the back
They're
one,
just
whatever.
walking
I
into being
don't want
tortured.
it. Right.
They want the
I'm really
torture. Yeah.
right. I'm happy and I want to maintain this. And it may not be a forever thing, but for me, I'm happy with it. I love my space and I don't like sharing it. I know that about myself. And I'm not an only child, because you know, some people says that. But back to what you were saying about
well, I wanted to say no, sorry. I wanted to say that it's really good. I tell you that all the time, that I actually love and respect the fact that you know who you are, know what you know, your standards, your boundaries, and you're being upfront, very honest, whether they take it or leave it. But the fact that you are happy and whole in your singleness, because as a single woman, I always feel like people treat it like a disease. Like, oh my God, you're single.
yes.
Why are you single? What's wrong with you? No, I'm actually okay.
I chose
happy.
It didn't choose me. I chose it.
Because men say it all the time. They're like, I'm single by choice. Well, why can't I be single by choice?
I know. You don't got no kids. You don't got this. What's wrong with you?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you don't have the babies.
Oh, no. And you know what? That was a decision I made at a very young age. At a very young age, I said I didn't. Ironically, me and my grandma was talking about that today on the way to the doctor. How me and my brother both had said, you know, we didn't want kids. And I remember after my mom or our mom passed away, that was kind of like a soft spot for me, because I was like, man, that I could have maybe did that for her. But in my mind, I was thinking at the same time, well, no, I can't. And I remember, you know, writing out a prayer to God about bless me with twins so they can carry the bloodline and my mom's spirit. And unbeknownst to me, my brother was having twins, unbeknownst to us or whatever. Long story short, it's a boy and a girl. So that's the bloodline. They definitely have her spirits. They look like her. So God even knew, like, baby girl, no, you don't need nobody babies, because you've been a lesson.
You want babies, I give you some babies.
Right, I got you, baby. I got you covered. I have God kids, like, and that I have really been around from birth till the oldest one, I think, is 32, I think she is. And like, so I've been through the prom, I've been through the breakup, I've been through the first period, the first sex, you know, the first drink, the first, you know, the fight, the, you know, the mean girl thing. And so I've experienced motherhood through other avenues. Yeah. I've even had, when my friend literally, we always said this as a joke. I said, I remember I was in the next room when you really were actually making my goddaughter.
Oh.
I was. We had ditched school. I will never forget it. We ditched school. I will never forget that. So that was hilarious to me, all the way up until when she had her, I was going to the hospital with her.
Wow.
Yes, like particularly with her, I think, like, and when we would get off the school bus, I would walk her to her boyfriend's house, like literally, like that it was different. Like, I think I was at every stage in her pregnancy with my goddaughter. So I feel like that the only thing I didn't do was carry her and push out. I'm good.
It's a blessing.
Yes, it is. But I go back to what my grandmother was saying. She said, you know, I said that when I was young and I stuck to it.
Yeah.
Like, And some women do find it selfish because they can't have children. And I always say, I can't be apologetic about what I don't want and what you can't have. That's something is a touchy subject, and it's not me trying to make them uncomfortable. Like, I'm not going to sit there and like bring this conversation up knowing that it's a touchy subject, because I know this about you. But also, what I don't shy away from is my choice. Because I always say, we forget, just because it's kind of like if you were adopted, right? And you didn't have a biological mother and somebody's talking about their mother, you have to figure out how to heal with that within. So you're not always triggered about somebody else talking about their mom. You know what I mean?
I have never thought about that. Somebody would be triggered about your choice to not have children.
Oh God,
why does they even care?
Because when you can't have something and you haven't really made amends with it, and I that part as a therapist, I totally understand. That's a trigger for you because you really haven't made amends with it. So you feel like, hey, it's a privilege that you have that I don't have.
Wow, I never.
I get it. I get it. But one thing, I'm very transparent about owning who I am, and I'm okay with that. And so it's funny because, like I said, I made that decision at a young age and I stuck to it. I knew for certain that's not what I wanted because, again, I like to move the way I move. I love my niece and nephew. I love my god kids. My niece and nephew, we definitely have a bond. I love my other set of nieces. But they get me for a block of time and back you go.
Send back home.
Right.
Well, what are your thoughts about marriage? Did you ever think you wanted to be married?
So when I was young, no. When I said at a young age, I didn't want kids. I didn't want to be married. And I think I even spoke about that on the podcast. Like, the first thing people think when a woman says she doesn't want to be married, either she's bitter or she wasn't exposed to good marriages. And I said, the funny thing is I wasn't even exposed to bad marriages. So I became a counselor. Truthfulness, right? I said, that's the funny part. No joke. Like, man, I was like, this is some toxic shit y'all got going on. But okay. Because my grandparents, never seen them argue. My grandmother was very, like, to me, honorable. Her and my grandfather had a great respect for each other's position and how they respected each other. And they discussed whatever it was behind closed doors. From a grandchild's point of view, I've never heard my uncles or even my dad, for that matter, say anything different. But from my childhood as a grandchild on up to the day they passed away, never seen a crossword. Even with my own parents and their flaws, never seen a crossword. Like, they mumble little stuff here and there, but I've never seen my dad curse my mom. My mom didn't curse my dad. My uncle, he stayed by his wife to the day she died, by her bedside because she was, sick. So I come from good stock. You know what I'm saying? So my problem is a man can't give me everything that I have right now. So if I be honest, right, I have my dad. I don't have daddy's issues. My dad has been present in my life from day one. I live with my dad. Even when I didn't live with my dad was probably like 10 minutes away. So I wasn't ever without him. I have my uncle, right? My uncle, like, is I always say my G, because he, like, is my best friend. Like, he travels with me. If we have a family gathering, because, I don't eat meat, he will make sure that I have food I eat. He'll cook it himself, with me doing like the events or going to trainings and stuff. If I need, come on, I got you, niece. I got you. He just calls to check on me. Nothing more, nothing less. He travels everywhere I want to go. That's my traveling person. I have my other uncle who he goes to Costco and he knows I like Core Water or Smart Water. He'll grab a case and come drop it on the doorstep. My brother, with my mom, if I'm like, oh, I need this, boom, he's got it done. My brother, my middle brother, he like for my birthday, or if I say I want to do something, he's going to make it happen. The younger one, we still have a relationship, but it's more spiritual, I guess you could say, because he's way younger than me. He's I think like 20, in his early 20s. So we're still right. We're still like disconnected in a certain manner just because of the age difference. And the oldest one, like I could call him up if I need something, and make it happen. My cousins, two of my cousins, I definitely know if a nigga touch me, I'm calling them. It's dead. Nothing else to be said. So
yes.
Even my extended brother, I can call him 2:00 in the morning and be like, the pipe is bust. He coming to fix it. There's one. It would be unrealistic of me to think one man could be all of them. And why would I want to give that up?
Well, yeah, I think it's so important to have these healthy relationships in your family and friends that you can count on. But what about the companion? What about you being that
I
rich
still go out to the show. I got buddies. I go out to the show. I go out to eat.
You got. I think that's why I wanted to tell your audience. Have your companion. I remember my aunt always it was her friend. She was like, "This is my friend." Are you your uncle? I'm like, "This ain't my uncle." I don't know.
But see, I go out, like if I want to go out to eat, I have some friends I can call up, male companionship. And I know people want to talk about the sex or whatever for right now. And I'm very transparent about that. I tell people I had enough dick to save me a lifetime. I'm good in that department right now.
I always talk about, I said, from the time you're young, it's especially, like I said, once again, Midwest, you're so over sexualized.
Yes.
Like that's all people talk about. That's all they're doing. That when you get older, you really kind of get tired of hearing about it.
Exactly. Like that's not even important.
I don't need to keep talking about it. Like just be about it if you're going to be about it. But I don't like to just keep talking about it.
And people, ironically, my cousin, because he heard the thing, my reservations about monogamy, and I appreciate his feedback. He's younger than me, but his thought process went to, well, I don't want people, to think like, he was like, well, men will probably think like you're hoish. And I was like, no, only an immature man would think that, because saying that I don't necessarily agree with monogamy doesn't mean I'm sleeping with everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I said, so if a person mature, they'll understand like that doesn't, monogamy and not per se being in monogamous relationships does not mean you're sleeping with everybody. Even with men, because women love to think men sleeping with everybody. Guess what? They the same like me. If you done had enough sex in your lifetime, everything ain't about that. Once you reach a part in your adulthood life, that's not a priority anymore.
Oh, I agree. And I do have to tap on monogamous, because I know married people that they sleep around way more people than somebody single.
Right.
I have married friends that are promiscuous. Okay.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, they have groups with swapping partners. It does not mean
that they out here just faithful to one person.
Yeah. I remember me and a client, we were talking. And so, we were talking about monogamy, like, and because he asked me, and he was like, and I told him, I don't know if I personally don't know for me if I could be it. He was like, wow, that's dope that you as a woman can really say that, because women love to say, like, no, I'm a good woman, I'm faithful, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to sell nothing, though, because I ain't trying to get nothing. So big difference.
But I have a question then. Do you think that, since you're doing the counseling, do you think that cheating is normal in marriages?
So
is it become acceptable or what?
So now I'll say this. So there's things you're going to deal with, right? Mm-hmm. So I have again, because of part of my background, my perception of cheating is different, but I don't put my bias into counseling, right? Okay. Because I think depending on what you can forgive and you can accept, everybody's level is different, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the most important things to me is financial stability, right? Yeah. So cheating and then having a whole relationship for me are two different things. Some people would argue that fact, understandably so. That's their, position. For me, I think cheating is a crime of opportunity. Like, like a little kid. If it's some candy and I can get away with stealing it and eating it, I'm going to do it. But it's when you start making it a relationship that I think that's when it becomes a bigger issue, because now you're allowing somebody in a space that they shouldn't be in, right? But in relationships, right? Being a counselor, there are so many things you have to deal with if you're going to make it work. So if cheating is, so everybody has to have their absolutes, their non-negotiables, and then what they can work through. So I have a few people who they can work through a person who's not motivated, who like is not going to bring home that money. Okay. That ain't going to work for me.
Yeah.
Because again, financial security, I don't need your money, but you can't take mine. So we got to build together. Like, like me, because I own a home, right? So he needs to own a home, and then we need to go get a home. Because you can have yours and I'm going to keep mine. But if we're going to do something together, and it got to be big enough where you have your own little wing and I got mine too. Because again, I'm like the, back in the day, Lucy, sleep over there and I sleep here.
Oh my God. See, that's where we are so different. I am
I'm not very affectionate. Yeah, but I'm not affectionate though. I'm very.
I remember you said.
Yeah,
I'm not affectionate person.
Yeah, I don't need, my affection is shown in my thoughtfulness about like listening to you and really like knowing, say if you had a hard day at work and knowing you didn't eat lunch, I would surprise you probably and bring you lunch, or
I know you're a sweetie pie. I know you're surprised.
Yeah, I'm more thoughtful in that way. Yeah, I definitely am. But yeah, I feel like,
Yeah, I was going to say, back to this financial security. Are you the woman that says, my money is my money, his money is my money? Do you share your money?
No. So for me, because ironically, like when I listen to couples, right? One big issue because most couples get divorced about money more than cheating or outside
I believe that.
or addiction.
Yeah.
Money is a real stickler for people. So for me, it's kind of like reciprocal, right? Mm-hmm. Like we gotta be matching. Like I do know this about me. You probably do need to make more than me. I do know that about me.
Okay.
But like, I come from like, you're responsible for this and I'll be responsible for that. So I don't need your money. You don't need my money. We just have our responsibility. So say, for instance, I ever did decide that, okay, I'll live with a guy and we get a house, then you pay the mortgage because that's your house. And I'll do the part of taking care of the home. So I'll buy the groceries, I'll make sure the cable bill paid or something. Right. And when it comes to trips, like, okay, maybe, I buy the plane tickets, you pay the hotel. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how, for me, that I believe in, as far as finances, because that way all the weight is not on you, but it's not on me. Because I'm not trying to break you either, because if I break you, then quote unquote the right way, I'm supposed to help you. So no, I don't want to do that either.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because that has to be communicated, because some women don't think that way.
Oh, yeah.
They think he has to do everything.
But that's not real in today's, well, no, I take that back. It is real if you want to live at baseline level.
Yeah.
Because even if a man makes...
that's a really good point.
Yeah. Even if a man makes, let's say, the average blue collar worker, and I mean like a UPS, police uniform people, right? Anywhere baseline is probably 140,000 minus overtime, right? So in all honesty, you're probably going to have a nice home, right? But you ain't finna be going on no lavish trips, like, because he got to literally pay the light bill, the water bill, the mortgage, your expenses, copay if you got insurance for medical needs, the groceries. If y'all have kids, God forbid, the clothes, like, hell no. Like sometimes I think we're unrealistic about that. That's silly. Even with dating, I think like it's stupid to think that the man should pay for every single thing on the date. Who the hell you think you is?
That I said that if I had sons, or even when I'm thinking about my cousins, my male cousins, I'm like, I would hate to be a man.
This sounds crazy. Like for
I
me,
would hate to raise a man to think that, that he has to do that.
no, you know what I tell my siblings, my cousins all the time. Make her fill out an application just like they do you. Baby. No, because you good stock, boo. Don't just get anything.
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
Right. Like, that's crazy. Like, for me, like, right. Like I said, I have friends when I, want to go out to eat or, go see a movie, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Like, we take turns. Like, everything is not like, oh, you're supposed to pay it. Like, because like, say for instance, I think like I needed a ride somewhere, whatever. Like, I have people I can literally call and say, hey, my car is on the side of the road. Right. I don't have to wait on AAA. They could come. So, then maybe 3 weeks from now, I'll be like, hey, let's go out to eat. I can treat them. What would be wrong with me treating them? Just 3 weeks ago, they got me off the side of the road.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like,
I think we need to have some thoughtfulness behind,
we're delusional sometimes. Like, that old school thinking. Yeah. Because I do hear, you're absolutely right. Women saying, hey, I want a man that does everything, is the financial breadwinner. Well, then, okay, you want baseline living. So don't be mad at that. And that's cool. And if he cool with that and you cool with that, kudos to the both of y'all.
Yeah. Yeah, they really get caught up on, to me, a lot of the internet, social media has gotten people convinced that you can't live off of that because it's not a lot of wealthy men to choose from.
The crazy part, when you think of Beyonce, Jay-Z, both of them bringing money in. You think of Cardi B and Offset, both making money.
Yes.
Like, it's because, unfortunately, if I be real, like, you got your Jill Scott, your Mary J. Blige, where they dealt with people who weren't bringing that same energy, and they end up having to pay out for them.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid to me. So make sure, and again, everybody is, I think at the end of the day, with all of what we're talking about, dating and everything, know you and know what it is you want, because everybody taste, everybody level is different of their expectations. Yeah. And your expectations don't even got to be realistic, because maybe it's somebody out there who just as unrealistic as you.
I believe there is. For everybody, there is. But mine is, don't play games. Like, just be honest. If that's what you want, just like you said, there's somebody for everybody. So just be honest about what it is that you want. Even if it is delusional, because I did watch some of that. What is it? What was her name? The lady that's so hilarious, Kendra.
Oh yeah, Kendra G.
Kendra G. Oh my God, the stories that people tell on that show.
Oh yeah, the best one I think was when the man was in the house with the woman and she was looking for another man. I said, God dog, baby girl, you bad. I ain't even mad at you though. But let me ask you this, because I'm happy you said that about honesty, right?
Yeah.
So what if you're dating somebody, you're feeling them, it's all good, but I think we as humans evolve, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a space and a time we're evolving that consciously we're not necessarily aware of it, right? Mm-hmm. And you have like this thought process, like, man, I'm not feeling this no more, but then I got so much invested, right? Because I think that plays a big part for men and women, because they feel like that whole time investment thing, right? And they don't necessarily, and it's not because the person did something wrong, it's because they grew to a different space. But they don't want to waste their time or develop something new with someone else. So, like, I don't know how can you really be honest about that, because I don't even know, like, it's almost selfish, I'll be honest. But then in all honesty, like, yeah, I would say it's wrong, but how do you communicate it if you don't really know it yourself yet?
That's what I thought people went to the counseling for, because they have outgrown each other, or they have become so complacent, and just somebody feels like they're being taken for granted. And I would just have to communicate. Now, in a marriage, that has to be way more complicated.
Right, completely.
And so in a marriage, we're going to have to figure this out. And
Yeah,
I think
because they
that's
run
when
to divorce
people do
situations.
end up stepping out. They either divorce or step out.
Yeah, completely. But in
Mm-hmm.
dating, right? In dating, which I do see now, there are more couples who date who are trying, who are trying to come to counseling now, because people, especially in the Black community, are becoming more self-aware. Like, hey, you know, mental health is a real thing. Which to me, one of the bigger issues is communication. One
Yes.
thing I always recommend, whether it's couples for marriage, pre-counseling, or people who are dating, whatever, I always say, while you're getting couples counseling, get individual. But really, in all honesty, I feel like go get individual counseling first. So you know if this is an
Mm-hmm.
individual problem that you're bringing to the couple problem, or is it something your perspective could have changed after you go through some counseling? Because by the time you get to couples counseling, if you really worked on you, some of the problems that you were going to talk about won't even be on the table anymore.
I see it as it's like it has to be done simultaneously, like together, because I've seen people just work on just themselves and then they go back to the relationship and that person is still like stuck in limbo. They haven't grown, they haven't evolved, and now you have this healed whole person.
Well,
And
I mean, they both should be doing individual at the same
that's what
time.
I'm saying. It has to go, it
Oh,
seems like it has to go together, like
oh yeah.
individual, then marriage counseling, or couples counseling. Then I'm going to go check on myself, and it seems like
So
it has
for
to
me,
all
it's
go
like do
together.
6 months of individual first, right? Both of you should be
Yeah,
matching that energy and making sure that it's a real therapeutic relationship with the counselor, not somebody who's just being your, um, like sometimes I have to tell my client, I'm not going to sit here and validate your foolishness. Your friends do that, not me. Like, no, I'm gonna call what it is, what it is. Like, and it's not even me trying to be right or making them wrong. It's really like, okay, let's look at this from a different perspective. Like, you're trying to validate, you're trying to make feelings a fact when they're not.
they want you to tell them that they're right.
Yeah. And for me, anybody who knows me knows, like, I don't really think there's a measuring stick for right and wrong due to experience and exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
your
agree with that.
experience makes you think the way you think, your exposure, right?
Yeah,
So you're not necessarily wrong for the way you're thinking about something, but the way you may be going about it is what's causing the conflict.
I agree. I agree. So I know for me, when I get into a serious relationship and counseling is going to be a part of my life, don't you think people just make it a part instead of
Oh,
waiting
it's a
till it's a
lifestyle.
yeah, I think it should be instead of like,
Yeah.
waiting till you get a bad symptom and diagnose you on the brink of divorce and break up. But why don't we just self checks all the time?
I totally agree. To me, therapy is a lifestyle. It's not a crisis reaction,
Yeah.
because basically that's what people do. They use therapy to respond to a crisis. But the problem is therapy doesn't even work that way. Not real talk therapy, right? Because you even got to figure out, why do I think the way I think? Where did that come from?
Um,
How did I get molded the way I molded? The way I think about relationships, where did that come from? The way I even love or how I receive love, where did that come from? Is that even me? Or is that something I took on because I was groomed to it?
and that's like you said, the experience, the exposure. We
Yeah.
are groomed. I spent half of my life unlearning most of my life, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Half of my life. Now I'm finally getting it.
Yeah. Look, I think the more you grow and you're open to learning, the more you will evolve.
I
The
agree.
day you stop learning is the day you're dead, literally, whether that be physically or mentally.
So then you should be with somebody that you can constantly evolve with and learn with and grow.
True. And somebody who, because in relationships, the truth is you have to be willing to, you have to have the mindset that you're willing to fight. Because the funny thing about relationships, sometimes we're not ready or willing to fight. We're, especially in our microwave society, everything is quick. We are so emotionally driven. Like, that's why, to me, crime is super high right now, because everything is an emotion, right? So people get married because they feel in love. You don't even know how to love yourself. How you talking about some love? But okay, cool. If that's what you want, cool. But then there's that divorce, right? Because then, even with the apps, like, I know there's good turnout with the apps too. But I think, again, you fall in love with the conversation and not really know the person, because a lot of times we don't sit back and listen. We just absorb the conversation.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, doing more of the listening than the talking, because you will learn a lot. You actually learn a lot about yourself too. You learn what you can and cannot tolerate.
Oh God, yes. I know I have no patience. My friend today, she just called me. She said, "You're getting old." She said, like old people, how they say anything out their mouth because they don't care. And I said, because guess what? We don't have time left. We don't care anymore.
Left to care.
No, we don't have time left to care. I said, I understand. I really do understand. I remember going into my friend's house as a young girl, the one I call my sister. Her grandmother was there, and she said, and I sat down, and I remember she said, "Ooh, girl, you ain't got no knees." And they was like, "Grandma." And basically she was saying I was so fat I ain't have no knees, right? So, but that sound like an older person. But at this age in my life, I really do understand, like, you just kind of say what you feel at the moment. It's like, it is what it is. It ain't even from a malice place. It's literally just like something you observe and you just say it.
Like a kid.
Yeah, it's like, I don't have time to sit here and try to figure out how I'm going to tell you this. Even as a therapist, that's how I know I'm not for everybody. Because if you're at the beginning and you're very fragile, I'm definitely not it. Because for me, I'm big about accountability. Like, if you're not ready to be accountable and own everything begins and ends with you, then I'm definitely not at that. I'm not the therapist. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That doesn't mean you can't get healed. You just need a different way.
I would love to know, and I gotta head out, but I would love to know, is there a certain type of person that has more accountability? Because I constantly find most people are victims. They don't take accountability to anything. So is there a certain type of person that is more likely to be accountable and say, you know what, you're right, I was wrong?
To me, so there's a 4-step I always go through. So it starts with self-awareness, right? Next is, first exposure, right? First, you got to expose something to even know it exists. Second is you got to become self-aware. Lastly, you have to be accountable. And then fourth, it will finally change. The problem is people don't want to expose their own truth. So they don't want to expose their negative qualities, right? A person who's accountable is a person who's self-aware and wants to change something.
That's good.
That's the truth.
Because people want to change, but not necessarily themselves. They want you to change.
Yes.
But if you know you need to change, that is the accountable person.
That's the accountable person. When you stop blaming them and start saying, okay, why am I triggered because they said this? Or why am I reacting this way? Like, what's going on with me? That's a person who becomes self-aware because they want to get in control of their emotions.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I've been trying to figure that out because I'm even teaching my daughter that. I'm like, no, you need to be accountable. Like, I learned that throughout my life, but, I have more of a village. I feel like my daughter, I don't feel like she has the same village I had when you had your aunties, cousins. Everybody's correcting you, and you have to have some ownership to it. But accountable, I'm seeing a lot of adults, men and women, have no accountability.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. Well, I know you got to head out, so I want you to leave not patients. I'm thinking of my clients now. I want you to leave the people with your information.
I'm working on that patience though.
Right? I want you to leave the people with where they can find you at.
Yes, come on over to YouTube and go to everything's under my name, Helena Paschal, and it's relationships and conversations. I'm also on Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much on anything with my name. You can Google me and come and find me, and let's have some more conversations about relationships, life, and love.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
And I would just love to leave the audience with, dating is not an absolute. Understand the difference. Stop being absolute about how to date and learn to be open about how to date. And you can reach me at thehillconsultant.com, Coach T, for trainings, workshops, all the above. So until the next time, see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We would love to say thank you today for tuning in with your girl, Coach T, Real Talk Unscripted. Remember, if you have a topic or you would just like to be a special guest featured on the show, you never know. So go to all social media platforms, T Hill Consultant. That's THILLCONSULTANT. And send us a message. Let us know your topic and your name, where we can reach you at. You never know, you may just be the lucky one. Until next time, have a good one.